Well, that was Summer Games Fest 2024, and between this and last year's Game Awards, Jeff Keighley is on a pretty horrible streak, in my opinion, with his team between bad reveals and honestly just bad optics when you look at what happened with Game Awards last year and shoving devs off the stage. I felt there was a bit of a redemption with this year's Summer Games Fest. The Indie Spotlight was fantastic. I love seeing a lot of smaller games here. I think that's really good for the industry. And Jeff spotlighted as much, showing how 8 of the 10 best-selling games right now on Steam are smaller games, showcasing to publishers out there that these experimental ideas can do really well for our industry. And the proof is in the pudding. Money is being made with these smaller games. I think it was absolutely fantastic he showcased that. Especially in a year of studio closures, it was really nice to see some publishers step up in a big way, in new ways, whether it was Blumhouse Games with a ton of brand new horror games, or Outer Sloth revealing their new publishing initiative. These are some of the best parts of the showcase because it's good for the health of the industry. I also say this as an indie game developer that it's really nice to see, like, hey, we're trying to get ready to pitch within the next couple of months or so, and I'm looking around and seeing how everyone's shutting down and eliminating costs and spending opportunities. I'm like, is anyone going to want to spend on this? But seeing more places prop up to help indie devs out just is amazing to see. So that was definitely, to me, the good. That was like the best part of the show, non-games wise. The bad, well, I do unfortunately have a lot to say about that, and we'll get into all of it after a quick word from today's sponsor. The following video is brought to you by Once Human. I consider myself a bit of a post-apocalyptic game connoisseur. I, happen to cover a lot of Fallout, so naturally, anytime something post-apocalyptic comes my way, I gotta check it out. And I'm here to tell you about one of the strangest ones in Once Human. Sure, it's post-apocalyptic, but it's also supernatural. Like, you can glide across the map with this kind of raven character. Okay, awesome. Just note, if you're interested in all of this, you can pre-download the demo on Steam right now, and you should add Once Human to your Steam wishlist while you're at it. So I mentioned it's weird, but don't worry, there's a lot of familiar elements beyond, bust monsters and crazy boss fights like this. You'll be able to explore a 256 square kilometer open world map with diverse landscapes and terrain, and it's bigger than Genshin by 6 times, 10 times more than Fortnite. Like, this is a huge map, so you'll have a lot to do here as you're exploring it. It also doesn't sacrifice the visuals, so, usually when games get bigger, they look a little bit worse because you're trying to do other things. Not this game. That's why Once Human has topped the Steam wishlist at number 10. It's earned 370k members on their Discord server, and a lot of people are really getting behind this one because I think there's a hunger for a post-apocalyptic survival game after a certain one back in December was kind of a catastrophe. So what are you waiting for? Pre-download the demo on Steam now. Add Once Human to your Steam wishlist. The demo will be available from June 10th to June 17th. And if you play the game on June 10th for 3 hours, you can earn exclusive in-game rewards. And be sure to pre-register the Once Human mobile app on the App Store or Google Play. All right, so the show opens up with LEGO Horizon Adventures. I will say, in fairness, I think the wind got taken out of the sails of this reveal, because if I saw LEGO after a PlayStation logo and I saw Guerrilla Games, I think we can all agree everyone would have said, what is this? What is going on here? What was kind of surprising about LEGO Horizon Adventures is it was the opposite of what I was expecting. We've seen LEGO games go more and more in an open world direction, and Horizon being an open world game series, I thought, well, okay, they're just going to do another entry, but it's going to be open world. Okay, cool. That sounds kind of fun to me. I love the LEGO games. Guilty pleasure of mine. Sue me. But this looks more like the older LEGO games. They looked more linear, and it's going mostly everywhere except Xbox consoles, but you can find it on Switch, which was a big surprise to me, Steam, PlayStation. It's due out holiday this year. I said this a bit about Astrobot, so I'm going to try to keep it quick to not sound too redundant, but I do like that PlayStation is focusing on more younger audience friendly titles that can also appeal to adults. I'm talking about like Astrobot, as I mentioned earlier, but also LEGO Horizon Adventures. Like, this looks pretty cool to me. Not what I was expecting, but not in a bad way. I missed the kind of traditional LEGO experience that wasn't open world. I like that they're kind of slimming the focus here. I think it leaves a lot of room for surprises, and so I'm keen to check this one out. But overall, felt the wind got taken out of the sails with this reveal. Afterwards, we got to lay eyes on No More Room in Hell 2, which is entering early access in Halloween of 2024. Apparently, this was a Source Engine mod in the first entry that became super popular. Now they're making a second entry here. I think it looks all right, but the thing that I noticed with this showcase, the biggest problem I really had with it was, number one, a lot of trailers with no gameplay. And when you looked at a report from Esquire that spotlighted how much money was being spent on Summer Games Fest, which were figures that were kind of surprising in number, but as you start to think about how much viewership and attention Summer Games Fest and the Game Awards draw, it makes a lot of sense why people are ponying up to be on these stages. But then you start to realize how much time some of these teams waste between early access reveals, which sometimes can be a good thing. We're seeing a little bit of a corner being turned on early access. I think of things like Hades 2, which is a bigger, better game apparently than Hades 1 already, and Hades 2 is in early access. Like, we have these moments where early access isn't really a death sign for me. I'm just always like, if I see early access, I'll catch you at the 1.0 launch then. There was a lot of early access here, and there was a lot of trailers without any gameplay, revealing basically nothing at all. And so for me, early access is maybe different for you, but keep in mind, for me, it's kind of a brain switch off moment. So if I sound a little lukewarm on something you're excited about, that's probably why. Afterwards, we got Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. It's coming out September 3rd to all systems. It's day one on PlayStation Plus. I played a little bit of Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup on the PS2, the GameCube, and all that stuff. And yeah, it was an all right game. It was very much cool in presentation. I love the idea of like there being teams all around the world. But this game, perfect example, like very little gameplay at all. When they started to show the gameplay, I went, oh boy. So September 3rd, it's already kind of making sense why they're pre-announcing it as a day one PS Plus title. I'll be interested in seeing what it's all about, but my expectations are very low, and I guess now we understand why there was no Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy. Continuing on after this, we got Cuff Bust, which I thought was a really, really good trailer. This is from the creator of Choo Choo Charles, and it's his next solo project. He says it's coming 2025. Maybe, I don't know, to be honest. Yes, that's literally what it says at the end of the trailer. And I thought this one was actually really fun-spirited. Like the idea of just like breaking out of jail and just how ridiculous it was. The FOV was pretty bad. I will just say that up front, that I feel everything was super close and in your face, and it made the trailer a little chaotic in the bad way, and I don't think it would be particularly fun to play. Looked a little rough around the edges. Saying it may be coming in 2025, I'm not too sure. Makes a lot of sense then. This is probably a ways off, like end of 2025, may even bump into 2026. We'll see. But I thought this was a really fun one. Afterwards, we saw a little bit more of Star Wars Outlaws, where there's a new gameplay reveal coming June 10th at the Ubisoft Forward. This is the other thing that I had kind of a problem with Summer Games Fest, is it feels like this is becoming a trampoline that everyone's springboarding off of to go promote their other stuff. Like, hey, we're doing this. Here's a sneak peek. You want more? Go check it out over here. And I'm like, no, I'm here and my time is precious. Like, if you're going to do it here, then just do it now, right? Like, I'm not going to go out of my way and seek things out like that. Now, it's a little bit different with something big like Star Wars Outlaws. And for me as a Star Wars simp, like, okay, I'll go check it out. But I'm just saying that I noticed this with a lot of other developers and publishers of, hey, here's a little tease and full gameplay reveal in Gamescom. I'm like, okay, all right then. Nonetheless, I think Star Wars Outlaws looks really good. I know pricing issues aside, all that stuff, like I think this game, as a huge Star Wars fan, looks really, really good. I think Massive Entertainment, developers of Division, are very talented. I like Division 1. I like Division 2 quite a bit. So I'm game for this one. Very excited for when it comes out in August. Then we saw, I don't remember how it was pronounced. I'm looking at my notes here. It's Neva. I don't know if it's Neva or Neva, but nonetheless, this is from the developers of Grease, and it is coming out in 2024 on all consoles and PC. This one really looks heartfelt. The art is beautiful and simplistic, a little flat, but in a good way. This one really, again, stood out to me as like an indie gem. Civilization 7 was here. Another unfortunate leak. Shout out to the Mafia bros, the Borderlands bros, the BioShock bros. Like, I get it. We were seeing leaks about a big 2K reveal on the way, and we were all thinking like, Borderlands 4, a new Mafia game. Oh, is it finally going to be that BioShock game? Like, is it happening? And it was none of the above. It was Civilization 7, which, look, I quit Civilization with 5. I was in college. I always tell this story. Played a little bit of Civ 5, and all of a sudden, 19 hours of my life deleted like that. Never played it again. I'm also holding off for Aura History Untold, that kind of mixture between what Civilization does as well as Age of Empires, like an RTS style gameplay, really speaks to me. That game looks like an amazing time sink. I'm also looking at Frostpunk, so I kind of have some of my PC Civ style games picked out, so I'm just going to focus on those. But Civ 7, I'll keep an eye on it. It's coming out in 2025 with gameplay in August. Again, what I mean by like, why reveal this here if we're going to get gameplay later? I don't know. There must be metrics behind it I'm completely oblivious to. Afterwards, we got what I thought was a really strange trailer for Black Myth Wukong. This game's coming out August 20th, And we also learned afterwards that it's coming to Xbox at a later date, which is really frustrating, I think, especially because I know Xbox is trying to invest in Chinese developers. So I'm really surprised to hear about that, but I find it extremely disappointing. But nonetheless, when it comes to Black Myth Wukong, it was more of a CG trailer for a game coming out in 2 months, which we've already seen a lot of gameplay for it. But I do think it would have been a good idea to just remind people like, hey, look how cool this game looks. And it's coming out very soon. But instead they showed CG and then went, hey, you can pre-order like the deluxe edition, the collector's edition. And so maybe I'm nitpicking here at this point, but again, it just shows to me like, how much money did y'all spend to be here? And this is what you chose to do. Just, hey, look at this CG trailer. And by the way, give us your money. It's like, you got to remind us what we're spending our money on at the end of the day. Come on now. Afterwards, we saw Metaphor re-Fantasio, the developers of Atlas, hit the stage. We got Katsura Hashino on the stage, just talking about the game, talking about the archetypes. This is a brand new trailer with a release date showing of August 11th, which we already knew. You've already heard me wax poetic about this game. It looks beautiful. It's Atlas basically saying like, oh, Fire Emblem, you want to copy our flow here? Okay, watch this then. And they're going all out, and it's basically a Persona fantasy game. I'm all about it. So I cannot wait for this one. You did not need to sell me any further on it. And it also kind of checks off a little box here. I thought this would be one showing up at the Xbox showcase. So this one, now remove that from the showcase, creates a little room there where the anticipation's really growing for what Xbox is doing this summer. We'll see what happens on Sunday, but let's continue on here. After Metaphor, we got to lay eyes on Batman Arkham Shadow, where the focus is on the Rat King. I think they're bringing back Roger Craig Smith as Batman, which he voiced Batman in Arkham Origin, so I thought that was pretty cool. There's, again, saying gameplay at Gamescom, and it's releasing this fall. I think this is a mistake because I'm actually hearing really cool things behind the scenes about Arkham Shadow. I haven't seen it myself, so I don't know if it's actually going to turn out to look fantastic, but this is one of those games where I feel right now people are looking at Suicide Squad followed up by this and going, oh, of course it's in VR. Now, VR is turning the corner. Like, I played Assassin's Creed Nexus, Asgard's Wrath 2. Like, VR is turning the corner big time, and you should start paying attention. Where something like Batman Arkham Shadow, I don't know if it'll get you to get a VR headset, but I think we're getting past that phase of like VR games are gimmicky experiments like the last Arkham game we got on PSVR 1. It's not that, right? Like, I think we're going to get something bigger and more ambitious here, and I wish they showed gameplay because I feel it's just going to continue to sow the doubt into this game, and this was likely the biggest stage it would have been on. So I'm curious how it ends up looking, but I think it was a mistake to not show gameplay here at all. Continuing on afterwards, Fatal Fury characters are joining Street Fighter 6. This is really great for classic game fighting fans, and I personally have no experience at all with Fatal Fury. I didn't even play Street Fighter 6. I'm not a big Street Fighter fan either. So sorry, hot takes here on the fighting game genre. I'm a Tekken boy out here. I love Tekken, Soul Calibur, love me my 3D fighters. That's for sure. And then of course my anime fighters, my little, Ultimate Ninja Storm, when Bandai wasn't making only arena fighters, that's when it was cool. And also, like Dragon Ball FighterZ. Come on now. Speaking of which, afterwards we saw Sparking Zero with a release date confirmed of October 11th this year. There's a season pass coming in the game with 20 playable characters. I am guessing this is going to build off of some other forms that are being seen in the manga as well as Dragon Ball Daima. That would make sense. It's the new anime coming out at the end of the year. But hello, star of the show right here. Look, yeah, no secret. I'm a diehard Dragon Ball fan, but hello. What do we got here? Story choices? Amazing. Dude, let them cook. This game looks sick. Production value through the roof. Was impressed with what I saw with the story mode. Cannot wait to see more, man. This is what I'm talking about. Like, if we're going to do these 3D anime fighters constantly, let's bring some new wrinkles in, and this is what we're looking for. Especially now we saw like Goku Black, which you already knew he was going to be in the game, but just a lot of, super characters are here, which is what I've been begging for. I'm like, look, I love DBZ as much as the next guy, but look, it's time to start embracing Super, the newest era of Dragon Ball. Like, you're naming movies after it. You're naming shows after it. Like, it's time to embrace it. Sparking Zero is doing just that. We saw Ultra Instinct Goku facing off against Jiren. I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, we're getting the universe survival arc here. Like, come on now. It's about time. So I'm excited for the story here. I hope it is a deep recap of all of the Dragon Ball shows. I think it would be absolutely a massive W if they could pull it off here. So hopes are high as a massive Budokai Tenkaichi fan. But yeah, for me, game of the show. Call me a DB fanboy. I don't care. It's true. This game looks awesome. Afterwards, we saw Delta Force Hawk Ops as well as Delta Force Black Hawk Down. Now, I know Black Hawk Down was a very old FPS. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be educated on the matter. For me, as someone not knowing anything about these games at all, I thought these looked like pretty rough first-person shooters. When it came to Hawk Ops, this is coming out with an alpha test in July, so very soon, but nothing about this looked particularly inspiring that made me want to go pick it up. We saw Fatal Fury one more time. I love the kind of comic book art style that it was using here. It's coming out early 2025. This is the first new Fatal Fury game apparently in like over 20 years, so pretty big deal there. We've known about this game for a while though, so it's just reappearing, showing off some good looking characters, some decent combat. We'll see how it reviews, but to me, doesn't really light my fire. Then we got one of the biggest surprises of the show in Power Rangers Rita's Rewind. No release date, unfortunately, but when I saw like Hasbro Games Arcade, I crossed my fingers, looked up at the sky and went, please just let this be basically Shredder's Revenge, but for Power Rangers. Because the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers game on SNES is god tier. It's such a fun beat 'em up, and no one talks about it because we're always, and guilty as charged, you can see the arcade cabinet behind me. Look, we're always talking about Turtles in Time, Turtles the arcade game, and I get it, all-time classics. But make no mistake, the Power Rangers are making some pretty gas video games at that time too. And so to see basically a game in that spirit was very exciting. I would love to see like a full-fledged AAA Power Rangers game. I think that would be amazing. But look, to have a callback like this when the series is kind of just hanging around here, like we had Battle for the Grid, which is a really great fighting game, by the way. And that's really it. It's cool to see something come out like this that doesn't feel purely like a nostalgia grab, but actually a good looking game too. So big surprise to me personally to see a new Power Rangers game turn up. Afterwards, we laid eyes on Deer and Boy. This game looks like it's packed with the fuels. I am ready to cry my eyes out for this Deer. This game's going to break your heart. No release date, nothing at all, but really cool reveal there. Followed up by Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 coming in 2024. Still no exact release date here. This game, look, I think my very good friend Locke put it perfectly when we did a retrospective for this on Retro Rebound. If you haven't played Kingdom Come Deliverance, it's Skyrim for masochists. So if you love to torture yourself with very hyper-realistic mechanics from the creators of things like Mafia, remember how you like follow the speed limit in Mafia? That type of realism there? Yes, like they got that type of stuff going on here in Kingdom Come Deliverance. Like learning how to read is a thing in the first game. It's awesome. You fall asleep, you might wake up in a completely different spot. You might get ambushed by bandits. The map is beautiful. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the first game. To get more of that is excellent. I'm ready for some Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I got my hopes high for this one. Absolutely looks stellar. And yeah, just bring it on. Give me that release date. And hopefully it doesn't come out, you know, as much as I liked it, as buggy as the first one. Coming November 8th is Slitterhead. They had a gameplay reveal here, and this is from the creators of Silent Hill. I'm actually just wrapping up my first ever playthrough of Silent Hill 3. So when I heard from the creators of Silent Hill, I went, yo, like this is perfect timing. I love Dead Space as my favorite survival horror franchise, but Silent Hill is probably second favorite for me. Just the vibe, the atmosphere. So to know that more is coming from those minds had me excited. And boy, did this gameplay crash me back down to earth. The combat looks terrible. Just unacceptably poor for a game coming out in 5 months. Also, I noticed something with the trailers here in this showcase, and I don't know if it's a weird nitpick, but I'm going to point it out anyways. For anyone in the industry watching, you need a little tip. Look, I do a lot of video editing here. Worst thing you can do for your game trailer is not let the game's audio speak for itself as well. As in, if you are just playing the game and having a loud music track blare over it, that does not capture you as much as hearing like the swords clanging, the slashing, the sound effects, the guns, whatever's happening, the jumping, the ground, the air, the wind. You got to hear the sounds of the game. That's part of the trailer experience. So many of these trailers had the gameplay with the audio deleted and just the music playing, and it was terrible. And this is a perfect example of it, but also just the game didn't look very good. But you know what looked really good was Killer Bean. I knew nothing about this game. What an awesome looking game though. Early access this summer. He was like Max Payne, but a bean. Like this dude's jumping out windows. He's breakdancing, shooting people. This reminds me so much of that game, My Friend Pedro, which apparently a lot of people like. I've not played it, but Killer Bean looks like an absolute blast. Afterwards, we laid eyes on Cairn. This is a climbing sim with no release date at all. Again, love to see the indie spotlight here, so I don't want to go too hard, but for me, like, this is just not something I would ever have interest in playing. Like, I will never wake up one day and go, oh man, I'm excited to climb today, or I want to play a game about climbing. And I know that may come across kind of douchey, but I gotta tell it as it is. That's just not the type of thing that lights my fire. So this didn't really do much for me, especially after other games have come out about climbing like Jusant. Just not for me. So afterwards, we see Wonderstop. This is from the creators of the Stanley Parable, and it's coming out this year. I thought this looked really interesting, right? You have this story set up that looks like you're taking care of a town, right? And at the very tail end, she talks about how she was once a warrior, and she starts to spiral and descend into a completely different mindset, like trying to trick herself into enjoying what she's doing. And then someone puts a hand on her shoulder and kind of brings her back down to earth. And for a fully voiced trailer, what they said to her appears only in text. It was very interesting. I don't know. The game has my attention. I don't know if it'll be good or bad, but it has my attention. So I'm excited to learn more about Wonderstop. Afterwards, we see Unknown 9 Awakening. This is from Bandai. It's coming out fall this year. Looks okay. Any game where I can take control of someone's body and do crazy things with the environment works well for me. I know that you can do that in Dishonored, so we'll see how free the gameplay is. Really interesting to see Bandai behind this game. We've seen this one before, but I remember seeing this again and going, oh, yeah, Bandai's working on this one. It just doesn't seem like their style game because they're always publishing anime games. Afterwards, we had an onslaught of no gameplay. So we see things like Anotria, Last Song. This is coming out September of this year. No gameplay. The Last Descendant coming out July 2nd. No gameplay. At the point of sounding redundant, I just got to say again, what's going on? Why are we spending so much money to be put into these showcases and have no gameplay to show for games coming out very soon? What is the idea here, especially for games coming out in July? You don't have any other showcase happen in July. You just have your release. What are you doing? Why are we wasting money like this? And that's not like Jeff's team's fault that someone's submitting for a trailer and they didn't put gameplay in it. They probably have the same reaction. Like, what the hell is this? What are we doing? Afterwards, we saw Sonic X Shadow Generations. This is coming out October 25th, or really the 22nd, with 3-day early access. Sega being Sega as of late. I really love Shadow, so this is kind of like speaking to my soul here. Sonic Generations is my favorite Sonic game, so yeah, I'm stoked and I will be there day one. You added my favorite character into my favorite Sonic game. Great. I'm excited to go back to some stages from Sonic 06. I saw they had Railway Canyon from Sonic Heroes, so I'm very excited to play Sonic X Shadow Generations. Continuing the onslaught of no gameplay, Dune Awakening shows up, no gameplay. Battle Aces shows up. At first, no gameplay. Turns out it's an RTS and they show gameplay on the stage as the developer's talking about it. Nothing too crazy there. Then we see the finals, Season 3. It introduces a new Kyoto map, a new mode, new kind of champions that are using swords and deflecting bullets. Looks really cool. This moment here, I know is a big deal for a lot of people. I have not played Alan Wake 2 yet, but I gotta speak very real about where we are at as an industry. When I see people getting on stage, by the way, it wasn't just to announce this, but when I see it being an on-stage announcement to bring physical games out, we have a problem. We have a problem if physical games are becoming that rare or that much of a big deal internally to these execs that they are going to step out on stage and go, oh yeah, and we're doing a physical copy. What? That, to me, that's the bare minimum. But look, we got to get out there and support these things. I have not played Alan Wake 2 because I cannot put it in my collection. Now that I can, I will be there. I will pick up the deluxe edition. They also showed off Nightfalls, which is 3 episodes of DLC here. We saw the Control protagonist. I believe we saw Jack Joyce as well from Quantum Break. I always think Quantum Break's this wildly underrated game, and it seems like a lot of the ideas from that game have made their way into Alan Wake 2. I have to replay Alan Wake 1 and then finish Control finally to then play Alan Wake 2. It's a long climb uphill, but this DLC looks fantastic, and you don't have to wait long. It's going to be out tomorrow, so you can go ahead and check it out. New World is still alive and kicking, which kind of stunned me. Eternum is releasing on October 15th. Honkai Star Rail got a brand new trailer. Dark and Darker also got a new trailer, and this is a free-to-play game that looked kind of janky, but apparently is really popular, so I don't want to judge it too hard quite yet because I've never played it. Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess got a brand new trailer. I have to say, I think this game looks awesome because I know some people look at it and go, oh, this is mid compared to Capcom's offering, but as someone who is like a massive 360 fan, funny enough, I'm working on a video on something right now. I see this stack of JRPGs here from the Xbox 360 era. Like, yeah, I miss this time. So give me more of that. I love that we get these more niche JRPGs coming to Game Pass in a meaningful way. So I will take Kunitsugami every day of the week. Looking forward to playing that in July. Afterwards, Skate is showing up again. Console playtesting is beginning this fall. Really weird to see how EA is handling this. I swear, you would think this is like a small indie company handling the marketing for Skate. Like, this is one of their biggest franchises. And the way they just continue to roll out like prototype trailer after prototype trailer, early access trailer after early access trailer. This is called pre-alpha gameplay. And don't get me wrong, I love Skate. Skate 1 is one of my favorite games growing up. Like, I love Skate. And I love the idea of like climbing walls. You know, you can skate anywhere, do anything anywhere. I think this game can actually be legitimately awesome. But right now, like, I'm not interested in seeing you announcing playtesting and stuff. That's just not appealing to me as a consumer. Power World is getting a brand new update on June 27th, introducing a new island, pals, Xbox dedicated servers, new buildings, a new level cap, new raid, new arena, faction boss. I mean, this game was wildly successful. So yeah, they're putting a lot of work into it, and it looked pretty good. I don't know if I'll go back, but cool to see that they're giving a lot of support here. Valorant is getting a console release with a limited beta going out for free on June 14th. They had a movie trailer for Inside Out 2. It was awesome to see my boy Young Ye in that movie as a video game character, and I thought he killed it. Young is a friend of mine, but I just thought that the way they handled this in the movie was awesome. And look, I know it's not the platform for it, but I will say trailer was low-key kind of effective. I kind of saw it, went, all right, like I'll check it out. But in being objective and kind of removing myself from the friendship with Young, I will just say, like, yeah, Jeff, not the place for this, man. Like, I appreciate you doing my boy a solid here, but Inside Out 2 on the Summer Games Fest stage, I don't know. Not my pick for a movie trailer to be debuted on these stages, and especially after the response to the Game Awards, you thought they'd kind of step away from movie stuff in general. Afterwards, there was this long commercial about a chicken game or something. Good God, man. Like, I don't even have the words. You know, for me, for a motor mouth, it's pretty surprising when I can't find the words to describe how disgusted I am by something. But you want to talk about a $15 million check being flushed down the toilet, you probably just watched it. That was absolutely stunning to look at for how much time it took up at the showcase and how bad it was. And at this point, you notice here, like, we're at the low point. Like I said, the second half of this was brutal. Afterwards, we got a brand new trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds. Continues to look fantastic. Surprised at how much we're seeing it, given that, you know, it's not coming out till 2025, but maybe the plan is to release it pretty early in 2025. So we'll see. But yeah, the open world zones look really good. A lot of dynamic action between the monsters. It's very impressive. And so we'll see how Monster Hunter gets its hooks on us once more in 2025. Last game of the show was Phantom Blade Zero. There's a demo tour happening with the media. I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, this game looks amazing still. And so I'm very excited for it. Out of everything that was shown off, it was kind of relieving to see that this one, which when we first saw it at the Game Awards, a lot of people went like, is that actually gameplay? And make no mistake, little bit of a step down from the dude shooting one blade diagonally to his left and one blade diagonally with his foot behind him. A little bit of a far cry from that, but some of these like deflection battles and stuff, clean, silky, smooth, looked really good. So I'm about it. And that does it. That was Summer Games Fest 2024. And I know this is a long breakdown, but thank you for tuning in nonetheless, because yeah, it was not good. So consider yourself lucky. You got to sit down for like close to a half an hour video here instead of like 2 hours of that showcase, because you probably would have lost your mind. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back on Sunday to talk about what Xbox did with their showcase. Really looking forward to that one. I think a lot of the big reveals have been moved to that showcase, and I am very stoked with what I've been hearing. So time will tell. We'll be here on Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, take excellent care of yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.